for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation. Since 1975, Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Funeral service for Ida E. Mooney, age 70, of Weguffka. That service will be 2 o'clock on Thursday at Weguffka Family Worship Center. Pastor Tommy Thornton will officiate. Visitation will be from noon until 2 at the church. Burial at the Weguffka Family Worship Center Cemetery. Online condolences at CurtisandSonFH.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Funeral service for Mr. Willie McNeely will be Thursday at 11 a.m. from Community Funeral Home Chapel, with burial in the Alabama National Cemetery in Montevallo. Visitation is today at the funeral home from 1 until 7, the family hour from 5 until 7, Community Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Mr. Matthew Hollandquist. Graveside service will be Friday at 1 p.m. from Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Cemetery. Visitation Thursday from 1 until 7 at the funeral home, Community Funeral Home, Sylacauga directing. Graveside service for Mrs. Dolores Long will be Saturday, November 14th at 11 a.m. from Pine Grove Baptist Church Cemetery. Visitation will be Friday from 1 until 7 at the funeral home, Community Funeral Home directing. And graveside service for Mrs. Helen Rush will be Saturday at 1 p.m. from Friendship Baptist Church Cemetery. Visitation Friday, 1 until 7 at the funeral home, Community Funeral Home directing. Ms. Alberta Williams died November 10th. Funeral arrangement to be announced by Community Funeral Home. Online condolences at communityfuneralhome.org. Walter Robert Jones, Jr., age 82, died Sunday at his residence in Munford. He was a member of His Answer Ministries. The family will receive friends today, 10 until 11 o'clock at Talladega Funeral Home. The service will follow in the chapel at Talladega Funeral Home at 11, with Brother Mike Drummond officiating. Interment in the Hillcrest Cemetery in Munford. Talladega Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Gregory Scott Greg Nicholson, age 59, of Sylacauga, will be Thursday at 2 o'clock from the chapel of Radley Smith Funeral Home, with burial in the Tallahatchie Cemetery in Alpine. Mr. Nicholson died November 5th at UAB in Birmingham. Visitation is tonight, 5 until 8 at the funeral home. Memorial messages may be sent to the family at radleyfuneralhome.com. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga directing. Funeral service for Wanda Holman Hughes, age 71, is today at 2 o'clock from the chapel of Kilgore Funeral Home, with interment in the Mount Pleasant Cemetery. The family will receive friends today, 1 until 2 at the funeral home. Mrs. Hughes died Sunday, November the 8th. Kilgore Funeral Home in Pell City directing. Funeral service for Brenda Epperson Griffith, age 61, is today at 2 o'clock from Unity Free Will Baptist Church in Sylacauga, with Brother Donald Grice officiating. Burial in the Tallahatchie Cemetery of Alpine. Mrs. Griffith died Saturday at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Radley Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga, in charge of the arrangements. Funeral service for Jason Andrew Tyler, age 43, of Sylacauga, is today at 2 o'clock from Alpine Baptist Church. Burial in the Alpine Baptist Church Cemetery. Mr. Tyler died November the 8th. Visitation is today at Alpine Baptist Church from noon until 2 p.m. Radley Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga directing. Amy June Williams, age 46, died October 10th. Celebration of life will be held with a graveside service 2 o'clock Saturday at Hephzibah Baptist Church Cemetery, with the Reverend John Whetstone officiating. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. And memorial service for Stephen Dale Bush, age 65, will be Saturday at 2 o'clock from the chapel of Kilgore Funeral Home. Mr. Bush died November 6th. Kilgore Funeral Home in Pell City directing. Online condolences at kilgorefh.com. These funeral arrangements and announcements brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg. for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.